step forward.
Hello, everyone. It is Captain Diesel, Alush V, and King of the Comics, and
you're listening to the Then and Now podcast.
I clicked the wrong thing at first. My bad, y'all.
Yeah, I was worried. I was going to worry.
This is the only podcast where we do something outrageous every episode. We'll start the first one. Otis, say you love fairy tale right now.
Why would I lie like that?
See, it's outrageous, man. We do it every show. Something outrageous every show. Today's gonna be an interesting show, guys. We are going to be talking about a topic that I feel like
a person that shouldn't have a job.
We've talked about this individual and his content a lot more times than I ever thought about. Until I initially went back and looked at some of our old stuff. We've talked about this individual's movies for a while.
Good, Craig.
In the 2 years we've been on YouTube and whatever audio platform, if you listen to us on audio platforms. We're talking about M. Night Shyamalan. Obviously, the spark of the conversation was his new film Trap that's coming out that honestly looks interesting from the trailer. It may just be the trailer, but I know it was making a big enough buzz for bigger channels like New Rockstars to break down.
You know what else had a good trailer, a real interesting trailer? I was heard of Last Airbender. That was
interesting.
Fire. Yes, it was.
It was
being in the theater.
It was a good trailer.
And seeing
because I actually saw that trailer before I actually saw the series. That trailer made me go and watch the show.
You saw that trailer before the series?
Yeah. So I was like, this trailer seems pretty interesting. Let me go ahead and check out this show based off this trailer. And the show is great. Then I went opening day to see the movie. And I was so angry. I saw kids angry.
You know how bad you got to be to make kids angry? Kids like Sonic 2.
They did. I almost, as a kid, I almost liked Mario Brothers, the Super Mario Brothers movie that was, with Bob Hoskins, where he said on his deathbed said, "My only regret is this movie." It's Mario Brothers.
That's tough. Your only regret in life is that movie.
On his deathbed, he said that. But it takes a lot to get kids upset, angry, demanding refunds, and this guy did it.
Jesus Christ. For anyone not aware, we're talking about M. Night Shyamalan, people. M. Night Shyamalan, round of applause. But we're just going to kind of run through some of his discography and the things he's worked on, and kind of because he's worked on that. He's in an assload of movies. Filmography.
Probably.
That's a better word for it. I attribute filmography to actors. I never really attribute that to directors. That's probably my fault.
Would you call it a discography for a director?
I don't know. I don't look at the definition of it. I usually hear discography with music. I guess it's probably a musical thing.
Most often.
But yeah. So I'm gonna just spit out a couple. I know there's a lot that we don't like. I think they're I'm looking at the list now. There's a handful of these that I've seen that I thought were okay. I don't think they were bad. But we can go ahead and knock out some of the bigger ones that at least are public deemed successes. One we've discussed a couple times. Before we shit on them, I want to get to some of the good ones. First and foremost,
cool. Yeah, you know.
First, let's tackle the Sixth Sense. I think that's his claim to fame. That's the one I think that really put him. That's about the Sixth Sense. How did that film in general make you feel? I'll ask this. Obviously, an overview on what you thought about the film, and also any Shyamalan things. Every director kind of has their thing that they do in most of their movies that's kind of akin to them. For Michael Bay, it's the racism or the sweaty people or the lens flares. And for other directors, it may be certain shots. But if there's anything that you notice about Shyamalan and the way he's directed stuff or written stuff, let's start with the Sixth Sense.
Yeah, usually it's always Philadelphia. Because he's from Philadelphia. I think he still may live in Philadelphia or has property there. He always films a lot of things in Philadelphia, or the stories take place around Philadelphia, that kind of stuff. That's one of his hallmarks. With that dude, a lot of his movies have that. And I've actually seen every single one of his movies. Just make sure I know what I'm talking about. I didn't pay for all of them. I refused to pay for all of them after Avatar: Last Airbender.
Allegedly.
I have seen them all. No. I mean, watch my video or watch them on after they left theaters. Yeah.
HBO after they left theaters. Lose review. What about you? What are your sentiments on the Sixth Sense and Shyamalan?
Well, Sixth Sense, I mean, was a pretty good movie. No, I'm not gonna deny that one. I'm not gonna pretend that I saw the death at the the big twist at the end. Bruce Willis goes coming. And honestly, I think that movie kind of opened my eyes to what a plot twist could look like. And so I'll give him 100% of credit there, because his ability to try to subvert the user's expectations of the viewer is noticeable. I'm not always noticeable in a good way, but it is always noticeable. And I do think that he gets some pretty good shots overall. Like, I haven't seen anything that he had that just look visually awful, but it's usually like other things wrong with it than the visuals.
But with that note, the visuals aren't always the most striking things either. I agree. It's like Sixth Sense is great. Sixth Sense, in and of itself, is a great movie. It's such a great movie, though. Even before the twist, it's still compelling. You're still invested into it. Even if there was no twist at the end, you're like, yo, it's still a good movie. I'm still enjoying this. Haley Joel Osment getting nominated for an Oscar. It's like, yeah, I'm on board for that. All these things are great. Right? The music, Toni Collette as his mom. It's like, this is all wonderful. So I have no qualms at all whatsoever about The Sixth Sense. And also, I feel like because M. Night wasn't a name at all, he had to. There are limitations. You can't be too up your own ass when you're making that movie. He had to, of course, still do it. He had to put his effort, all his heart into it, essentially. It's later on he's able to kind of feel himself and disregard all kinds of rules and
swing away.
Yeah. Yeah.
To get into The Sixth Sense again, at least from my perspective, I'm going to echo a lot of the same sentiments you guys had in regards to this being one of the bigger aspects of a twist being shown. At least for me personally, growing up, I haven't seen it done too often besides this film. And to get into another aspect of that I've noticed with him, I feel like after this movie, he let the acclaim kind of go to his head, because a lot of his films seem, and at least personally, come off very pretentious. Yeah, I was just about to, it's where he tries to make things overly complicated at times to make I'm on some fucking
Stephen King,
on some, not even Stephen King, on some J.K. Rowling shit, where hers is more revisionist history, but she will try to make things seem like she had everything eloquently planned out and structured over years, when you made a happy mistake, and that happy mistake was something that people enjoyed. You can admit that. But he does that a lot with films, where he tries to make characters a lot more complicated and complex than they need to be. And I think that can muddy up his screenplays whenever he's writing sometimes. And it's very similar to the way his shots, with a lot of the shots he has, I feel like a lot of his shots are either wasted or they just hang on to things too long.
No, we're staying with the positive, right? You said the positive in talking about Sixth Sense first.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, say the positive first. You got you go head first into that pool.
These are just like the recurring
I'm the one
things
that goes negative and the positive. That's my job.
Oh, again, to get into some more of the positive, I think in the same vein of like his shots being a little pretentious, when he does get them right, they look great. And I'll get into another film of his that I saw that had amazing shots in it that was eloquently done, personally, which, funny enough, is some of the horror stuff that he got into later on. But yeah, as far as The Sixth Sense, that's most of the stuff that I had issue with. Now, we can get into some of the fun stuff, because Otis already brought it up, so we got to talk about it. Stuart Little, the 1999 masterclass of a film that he figured out. How did y'all feel about Stuart Little? Because this is a drastic change from The Sixth Sense, to where it's more of a kiddie thing. I think this came out the same year. Did this come out the same year?
He did Stuart Little.
It came out the same year. Yeah. He did Stuart Little. Yeah, he directed Stuart Little. 99.
I didn't even know he directed.
It came out the same year The Sixth Sense did, actually.
I did. I had no idea he directed.
But he did the screenplay for it.
You did the screenplay, so he wrote it. Okay, he didn't direct it. Okay.
It was. Yeah, I never seen Stuart Little.
So some of the writing, again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. When he's not making things overly complicated, they work. I think.
But also, I don't know how much he had to do with if he's just writing it. I don't think he had anything to do with it. There's a difference between just writing something and actually bringing it to the screen.
Yeah, the screenplay aspect of it is what I'm talking about. Like his plot. Whenever he's writing, again, he makes things overly complicated. So in a film where I'm looking at where it's very straightforward, a talking rat finds a family, builds a bond, A, B, C, D, make this thing happen, cut and dry. I think when he simplifies his screenplays and his writing for his films, they go well. And I think this is an example where it wasn't like the best child movie to ever exist, but it was pretty clean. And I don't really have any complaints about that film, honestly. If I have any complaints,
plus it was based off a book series too, so it wasn't necessarily.
It's hard to. I mean, we've seen what he's done based off of inspiration stuff before.
No, we have. We have. He's butchered. He's butchered. We're staying positive. We're staying positive. But yeah, I guess he had no power at this point. In '99, he had no power, so he's pretty much just doing work for hire. Yeah, with
right.
passion behind it.
So we can move into one later on in his career a good bit, because I just mentioned it. Another one that I enjoyed, to kind of somewhat stay in the positive before we get into After Earth, because we're gonna talk about After Earth.
We get definitely After Earth.
Devil. I don't know if you guys watched it. Just came out in 2000.
Oh, you jumped over Unbreakable too. We're not going in order. I thought we were going.
No, I was just jumping around to different ones. Because if we go in order, this man literally has like I'm looking at like damn near 30 movies here.
Wait, so which movies has he directed though? We're doing the ones he's directed, right?
I was the one directing and writing, because a lot of the issue we can just stick to directing if you want to, but a lot of the issues that we had, at least I personally have with him, comes from mostly his writing. The directing isn't absolutely terrible. When he's writing for stuff is when I have a big issue for him.
So which movies has he? Just go ahead and sound him off right quick, because I'm not even sure. Which ones has he just written, not directed, but just written?
Okay, so me add a filter in this real quick.
Mm-hmm. Like I know what I think I can name off.
So he's written, most recent one is Knock at the Cabin, Glass, Trapped, Sixth Sense, The Last Airbender, Split, Unbreakable, Old, The Visit, The Village, Signs, The Happening, Lady in the Water, Stuart Little, After Earth, She's All That. Can I not scroll any further than this? There's some more. I gotta try to get down the list.
These are ones he's also, a lot of those he directed too. I'm trying to figure
out. He's usually directing and writing at the same time for a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing.
Okay, yeah, he didn't, because I don't think he directed. Maybe he did direct Stuart Little, but I know he. Okay,
he didn't direct Stuart Little. Just a screenplay for that one.
Yeah, he just wrote that one. I could try to get some visuals in comment. Like, this man did a lot of shit. I will give him that. He's very accomplished and has done a lot of stuff, and a lot of
just keep giving him money to do it. I don't know why.
That's one thing, is how you keep getting money to do things that are off. So one thing that you're mentioning too is he says overcomplicated. That's ironically enough, I don't think he is overly complicated. I think he tries to go high concept with his ideas, and he's kind of dumb about it. Like for example, with science is the idea is, what if aliens came to Earth? The end. And what a majority of the movie is that set at a farmhouse where a preacher or reverend, whatever it is dealing with the idea of a feeling that his wife was unjustly taken from him, and he's upset with God. In and of itself, it's a high concept that's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Or The Village, where a group of people are secluded from society, and they believe that the world is very different than it actually is. These aren't overly complicated situations. Or The Happening, whereas it turns out that the biggest culprit for murder is actually plant life. These are simple things. He has incredibly stupid characters trying to convey these ideas in an oversimplified way. So I think, like you said, the scripts are dumb or just not well written. He's trying to overly complicate something that's just too stupid and too simple to be overly complicated. That's my take on it. Just overall with the guy.
He just tries to add a twist where it doesn't need to be a twist. Just make a movie.
I want to get into that. I want to expound upon that point with the most recent movie he did. Did you guys watch Knock at the Cabin? The Batista one that came out?
Yeah.
That one was a pretty solid one. But to your point, Ethan, I think that's where like themes get so overly complicated, because initially you think it's going to be this like strangers type of film where random people come up and terrorize his family, but then it's like again, spoiler alert to anybody watching this. We spoiling all these movies. I'm sorry. A lot of these are old as hell. The Knock at the Cabin, maybe the earliest one, but it's like a year old at this point. But yeah, with this one, like the apocalypse is happening, but these people are like destined to like inform them that the apocalypse is happening to prevent the apocalypse for whatever reason. And these are like regular, like it's something. I think they have more. Like the film came out pretty solid. I think it had more to do with the acting, because you had some guys in here that are really He has some heavy hitters in here, like with Dave Bautista, Rupert Grint, Ben Aldridge, and a couple other people. Who else am I forgetting that I know off the top of my head? But he had some really good actors in this film, I think, which has made some of the screenplay stuff look better because of the delivery. But when you think about it, like conceptually, I'm like, bro, you were doing too much, personally. And that's to me, that's like the key film of like a key example of when he does too much.
Yeah. And it was funny, like, again, it's high concept. It's what if there's 3 of them in the family, there's 3 people at a cabin, were, like you said, confronted by people saying that the world's going to end unless they do something drastic, essentially. It's a very high concept, kind of elevated pitch that you would use more or less. And that's kind of his MO for the most part. Now, this was based off a book too. So it wasn't originally written by him. It wasn't originally written by him. It was adapted by him.
So we're seeing a theme here.
So
we're seeing a theme. Okay, so I'm not gonna give him too much flack for that. Then, if he wasn't like his original concept, then I'm not gonna get him too.
And it actually was done pretty well. It wasn't. I didn't pay for it, so someone took me there and paid for my ticket because like I just can't pay for any more tickets for him. But it was executed pretty well. I think you're right though too, Dev, that it had the acting didn't seem to be as dumbified as most. You guys have seen The Happening. You guys have seen the memes for The Happening. That is laughable. Like that's a genuinely good comedy. Sober or drunk, you will laugh at that movie. But this one actually seemed like with Jonathan Groff and Grint and Batista and all them, even the little girl, they're actually acting. It seems legitimate. I was into it. So
now, Lelouch, I want to ask you about another one of his more well-received films. I personally enjoyed this film just because I fucking love the main actor in this film, but that being Split. I know Split was one that he got a lot of acclaim for, which again, I think this is another example where most of the benefit of this film came from the fact that James McAvoy is an amazing actor and played this role very well. But what did you notice from that film in particular, if you remember at all?
I remember Split. Split was probably like, I went into that movie expecting it to be really bad. So when it ended up being okay, I was okay with it. And again, carried heavily by just the range of everything that McAvoy could display in that short time span. Like, I can't imagine too many people being able to do that and do it well, where you're like believing it that this character, and not just like, oh, this person is just making voices out of nowhere. Why are you doing this? You know,
yeah.
He embodied that character to the point where he could even almost make Glass workable, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
We can transition right there if you want to. I was going to ask you that one. We going from like a good example of this character to like a horrible way to use this character right after the fact.
Yeah, but probably again with Otis said earlier, the whole idea of the twist, not necessarily needing the twist, but of course having to shove it in there. Split had the twist where Bruce Willis shows up and you see, oh my gosh, it's all in the same universe as Unbreakable. And Unbreakable, the only 2 movies of M. Night I actually say I like and will watch more than once on purpose are Sixth Sense and Unbreakable. These are actually legitimately good movies. So you're saying like, hey, by the way, this is actually the same universe as this movie, which kind of like is this whole, kind of a super beings universe. I was like, that's pretty good. You didn't have to do that. M. Night, but I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So,
and in Glass, to get into that one, this is going to bring up another thing that I think he has an issue. Again, for people watching this, I swear to God, I'm an optimist. I'm usually the optimist of the group. And we're having just a critical analysis on this man. Again, like I'm going to get into more of his films that I enjoy, but again, the whole point of this episode is to critically analyze to an extent what he does. And with Glass is a key example of his difficulty at writing relationships. Glass is one example. Another film that I thought was good that I enjoyed, another horror film he did called Old that came out in 2021. He has an issue with like writing characters having organic conversation, organic bonds. Because when people interact, it's very surface level and it's so expedited, it doesn't make sense. And Glass is the key example of that, because you take these 3 characters, 2 that have a decent relationship with Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson. Again, I think that's very much so carried by the fact that these are 2 historically great actors in roles that they've been in. But when you try to throw in McAvoy in there, but he still has the tendencies that he has in Split, the scene, like, I know the one scene that was like in the trailer, like super heavy, of them all sitting in that one purple room. That whole scene was so anticlimactic to me. because you have like Bruce Willis and Sam like talking at each other, but then McAvoy like doing some crazy shit in between them, and it doesn't fit to me. And then it just comes together at the end with just a huge monster mash or a fight. And then you also try to throw in back to the whole thing about him overly complicating things. Now the whole thing was orchestrated by Mr. Glass somehow, and like them being there was orchestrated because he had information on all of them. Your thoughts, because I don't want to like dig too deep into this film and tear it to shreds.
So,
but plus, you can go first, Otis.
Going into this film, I was actually excited because I was with E. I enjoyed Unbreakable. I thought that was a pretty good movie. That's one that I have seen multiple times. Split wasn't bad to me. It was like, you know what? You didn't fuck it up. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh, you're trying to put all of this into the same world. I was like, okay, you might have something. I might be able to finally forgive you after the Last Airbender. And then we got that, right? Like nothing happened. That was nothing basically
happened.
Just
happened.
like
nothing happened.
A bunch of psychos like ranting at the insane asylum, and they got into a fight at the lawn after. Like,
yeah, it was the most. It was nothing. It was the most nothing. Yeah, because also I'm sure you all have heard before how Bruce Willis like was only on set for like I don't know 2 days or some shit. Like, he wasn't
2 days is nuts.
Yeah, he was barely. It may not have been 2 days. He wasn't there that much. So they were a little bit of hamstrung with using him in the movie, and it kind of showed. But even then, it's still
before the dementia stuff, or was it just him not wanting to be there?
I think it was just him not wanting to be there. But it's kind of just like the way it was. You all have seen it. It's like it's so much of the time. It's just each of them alone in their own rooms, and then when they do interact, it's not much. Because again, think about these characters don't really have much of a relationship, anyways, to begin with. The last time Sam Jackson's character and Bruce Willis's character saw each other, they were shaking hands, and Bruce Willis pretty much, I guess, swore off talking to him again with Elijah. So it's kind of like there is no real. We're excited as the audience looking at this, but the characters themselves have no relationship, more or less. So it's like, what do they care about each other, And they did nothing with it. They had the talent they had in this movie. They literally had, like you said, Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson. They had James McAvoy. They had Sarah Paulson. Sarah Paulson is a beast. And Anya Taylor-Joy when she was on the rise, and they did nothing with it. Nothing with it.
It was sad to me. I wanted that to be a lot better than what it was, mostly because my guy's in it. But it
was his movie. It was his movie. I was like, yo, Sam Jackson, his hair is headlining a movie, literally. And
his character is named Glass. It's called Glass. And you flopped a Sam Jackson movie. Like, that's hard.
Somebody gonna do right by this man at some point. He gonna get a leading role in the film where he's leading, where they're not gonna fuck this man over.
I mean, he has some good leading roles. Like,
yeah, he said Shaft.
No, he said plenty other. Like, he said other words. Let me look at like he was the lead of SWAT. Has so many movies. Yeah, SWAT.
He's leading. SWAT. I forgot about SWAT.
He's lead of that. He was also the lead in, like, I mean, if you're gonna go back a little bit, he was the lead in that movie. Well, technically, you could say the Quentin Tarantino flick.
The Hateful Eight.
No. Well, actually, I would say he probably is the most lead of that one.
He's a leading character, but he's not like the leading man in a film. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
For an actor but like that has that many accolades regarded, that prolific. Yeah, it's a better word for it. Like every other actor at his level or above has a leading man role thing. Like Denzel has his stuff, Bruce Willis has his stuff. Everybody has their thing. Up until this point, it just seems like Sam Jackson is being used as like the ultimate number 2 in films, where he just happens to be the standout performance in the film because he's there.
Coach Carter.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll give you. Okay, I'll give you Coach Carter.
Snakes on a Plane, Black Snake Moan. I mean, he does have movies.
I forgot about Black Snake Moan. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a little weird. He has so many movies. It's hard to really.
It's like he's got exactly. It's so many movies. It's hard to like narrow it down to like a 1 or 2, because this man does like 10 movies a year every year
or more, or literally more.
Well, let me shut the fuck up then. Let me get back on topic.
The thing is, he says so many movies that you probably even heard of. That's the thing. He's always doing movies, always doing flicks.
To get into some of the positive stuff, I think this is where he benefits because to your point about Split, I think one of the worst things about that happened to be the Beast, where if you look at Split, the best thing about the Beast was that with any monster flick, when you see shadows or hints of the big bad monster, whatever it is, you build that atmosphere. But once you see it in all its glory, it's not as intimidating anymore. So in Glass, you see him literally having a fight where he's just fighting all these guards that took all the allure of that character, for at least away from me. And with his horror, where I see Shyamalan thrive with horror, is whenever his horror is conceptualized. So it's not like a actual demon or a monster, but a concept or something happening where you just don't know what it is. And I think the best one to me, I think the best horror movie he's ever done to me personally, unless you want to count The Sixth Sense as a horror film, is probably Devil, which came out in 2010. And the whole concept about this movie essentially is that you have this ragtag group of random people in this elevator, and it's on this night in Mexican culture known as like the Devil's Meeting, or some night out of the year where the devil gathers all these people in this elevator, and essentially the devil's in this elevator with all these sinners, and people are dying every time a light. It's like a whodunit almost too, where the people are dying in this elevator when the light goes out. And as people are dying, you're starting to learn more about these characters and whatnot as time going on in the film. Again, some of the negative and bad things that he's done in the film is the character relationships. These characters have no sort of like interaction that seems organic to me, which is a whole other thing. As well as he doesn't do a good job of giving backstory a lot of these characters. Sometimes he'll like show like an aspect of them and then make that aspect their whole personality, but he doesn't delve deep. I think the only benefit that saves him from that being like a really bad thing that tanks his movie is the fact that these people are dying relatively fast. So like they don't have
it's a short movie too. It's a short movie, what they call a bottle movie. It's pretty much for the most part all contained in that elevator. And it's only like 5 or 6 main characters. My favorite character, it's presented pretty compelling. My favorite character by far, other than Bokeem Woodbine, because it's Bokeem Woodbine, is a guard who's watching the video. Otis knows this part. There's a guard watching the footage, and he's like, "Well, my grandma always said, if you flip a piece of toast and it lands jelly side down, it means it's like the devil." It's like, you got to be shitting me, M. Night. If all the things you've done in your career, this got to be the most epic. So it's
jelly side down. I had almost forgotten about that. I had almost forgotten about that.
This really is in happen. The movie. Because also, movies don't just happen, right? So it goes through, somebody writes it, and somebody has to actually, show it to a director. Then that person has to say the script. Then it has to go to an executive, has to see it. It goes to so many channels. The studio saw this and said, "Okay, M. Night, can you imagine sitting there with your balls out, like, all right, here comes a toast seed jelly." That is the boldest shit. I've been alive for years, long time. I have never done that before in my life, and I never will. I will die before I do that. But one thing I want to say before we move on from Devil, which is very entertaining to watch. It truly is. And Bokeem Woodbine was in there. There's a trailer, so you guys can actually watch the reaction to this. You guys are younger than me, so you have no reference for this. But back in the day, when Inception came out in theaters in 2009, right? They showed trailers before that movie, right? And one of the trailers they showed was Devil. Now, this is at the point when M. Night had a whole bunch of flops or stinkers in a row. And the way the trailer was presented was you just saw the compelling idea of all these people stuck in the elevator, and it seemed really interesting. People were dying, and it's a mystery involved.
M. Night at the end.
And at the very end of the trailer says, directed by M. Night. And in the theater, everyone groaned. It was funny. I groaned myself, but I heard other groans. Yo! And it wasn't just my theater. Supposedly, it happened so much that they actually made an SNL sketch about it. You actually can hear it. Actually, video is probably still online about it happening. It is hilarious. That's how bad his name had gotten. And this is early. This is half his career ago.
Because Devil was like 2010.
Yeah, that's how long ago it was. And already his name had turned to mud. Then his name just showing on a trailer got audible groans from entire theaters. On a
random tangent. Nigga, there's a sequel to After Earth. Did y'all know about that?
No, it's not.
Nigga, there's a After Earth, A Father's Legacy, where I think it's just Jaden Smith starring in it. Is the cast? It's just Jaden Smith. I'm looking. It's
already out, or is it like a fan made thing? Or
let me see. Hold on. Will there be After Earth 2? It never came to fruition, so I think they canceled it, but it's on.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, Screen Rant. They planned it. I was like, there's no way, because they have. Hold on, let me show this on screen, because they have a whole like movie poster for it. Like, what the absolute hell?
Straight to Tubi.
Straight to
After Earth, The Father's Legacy. I was like, ain't no fucking way.
Straight to Tubi. Straight to cancellation. Straight to 10-minute videos. I love it.
How you get a 6 out of 10 and a 63%? The movie never came out.
Yeah.
Granted, okay, he wasn't directing this one. It's another different guy directing, but he was still writing this shit. Anyway, but I think that could be a good segue into After Earth. Let's go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk.
Because you took a film where I think After Earth. Let me look to see when this came out, because I don't think this is too far after the Karate Kid reboot came out.
It was a little bit after that.
It's 2013.
2013.
Yeah, so like Will's kind of riding on the high because he had I Am Legend, and that was pretty well received. And at this point, Will Smith is still like the man in Hollywood.
Kind of, yeah.
Because he had I Am Legend, and didn't like, when did Bad Boy 2 come out? Well, that was early 2000.
No, that's before. I'm trying to think of what the most recent thing he had before that. I think it was a Concussion. No, that's after that too. No, it's after.
I'll pull it up quick.
More recently.
Was it Hitch?
No,
I hope not.
It may have been Hitch. No, I think what he had, ironically enough, was Pursuit of Happiness.
2010.
Good movie, but I would never watch that again.
So 7 Pounds came out
not
before
really
that. Men in Black, because Men in Black 3 came out in 2012, so Men in Black had to come out.
That wasn't like a huge like.
No, I'm saying like Men in Black 1 and 2 had to have come out before, like at 2010 or before that. Yeah, Men in Black 2 was in 2002.
Yeah,
Ali was like a lot of his bigger hits came out like before 2010, before 2013.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's kind of hard to say when he.
Interesting.
My bad.
A lot of his like. What happened?
No, so after 2013, obviously, the biggest hit he had before After Earth was probably 7 Pounds, maybe.
It's like the biggest one. If you want to be probably Bad Boys
Hancock.
too.
So Hancock was in 2008, and then it's got to be.
You're just going off of like the most recent films in 2010, or like his biggest film before
one. Yeah, because he had some films that obviously before, right before After Earth, like he had Free Angela and All the Political Prisoners. This Means War, The Karate Kid. But as far as him having a leading role, that was kind of hit. The biggest one was
Men in
probably
Black?
7 Pounds.
Men in Black.
Men in Black was way before that.
Yeah, we said before 2013, right? Not just
like closest to 2013. Leading up to this movie, yeah. Because I mean, he had Hancock.
Okay, so the closest thing
within like 5 years of the movie release.
Okay,
yeah, closest to it. The closest that means something was probably 7 Pounds. Yeah, in 2008.
Yeah, so. 7 Pounds, Hancock. Yeah.
So that's kind of he wasn't riding the highest of waves at that point.
Yeah, because iRobot was 204. Yeah, that's tough. When did I Am Legend come out? When did they drop? Where's I Am Legend at?
Yeah, I think a part of it too is it's meant to be a bigger engine or vehicle for his son Jaden.
Right, that's why I'm like,
born. Yeah.
So I Am Legend was 07. I Am Legend was 07. It's not super far, but yeah, to your point.
7 with the 6 years.
6 years, it's a year off the cut date that we'll put out.
That's still not. If you think about 6 in terms of like people's memories in Hollywood, 6 years isn't short. Isn't short.
Fair enough. But yeah, to your point, this is definitely like supposed to be the lob to Jaden. Because at this point we've only seen him in like Pursuit of Happiness, Karate Kid. I think that's it. I can't think of anything else he's been in up until that point. Which I think both of those films, Pursuit of Happiness, he did what he was supposed to do, and did that, I guess, well. I didn't hate the Karate Kid. I think most people hated it because it wasn't the original Karate Kid. I didn't think it was terrible when I watched it, but granted, I was really young when it came out.
I don't think it was terrible either.
So I think there was some hope for this film, I believe. Like, I'm trying to remember like where the public narrative was, like when this movie was coming out, and I think people had hope for it, but I don't think the hopes were very high when they saw who was writing and directing it.
But they buried. If you remember the trailer, they buried M. Night's. You didn't see M. Night's name in it. You did not see M. Night's name in it. And even though Will Smith hadn't had like a major hit, he was.
I didn't know it was M. Night until I got it. I was like,
you tricked me, did it?
Yeah, once you're theater, it says, by the way, M. Night. It's a real small font.
At the bottom corner.
Like M. Night Shyamalan might have written
allegedly he was involved with this, possibly.
It's like when they're doing the side effects for the medicine commercials. Like, may cause heart attack, diarrhea. And this film again, it had Will, Jaden, Zoe Kravitz was in it, surprisingly.
Was
woman. Yeah, I don't see.
She has the best part too. The scariest scene. It's like he's like talking. You remember that part where he's in the boat? He's talking to her. Jaden is hallucinating, essentially having a dream, whatever. And he's like talking to her. He's like, why couldn't you ghost and saying some nonsense? And it's like, you had to wake up. We had to wake up. Wake up! It turns like a demon on him, and it's like, that's actually a genuinely good scare. It only lasts 1 second, and that's it. You waste the rest of your time in that movie.
And that's the thing with him, man. He gives you a taste, and he just can't continue. Anyway, but with this film, where do you think a lot of this went wrong with After Earth? I think this is like one of the bigger unanimous flops that's a stain on Will's career. Like, when people want to talk about bad Will Smith movies, After Earth, and it's like After Earth, Hitch. It's one of those. It's one of those three. Well, one of those two, and like I guess you can throw in fucking.
Oh, he's got some stinkers.
Wild Wild West is another one of those three that gets thrown around.
MIB3.
MIB3 is kind of.
This is before that. Well, this is after that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's had
Gemini Man.
Remember Gemini Man? There's two of them.
I didn't watch that though, so I don't know how bad that was. I never saw that. I never saw
that movie on purpose. He's fighting himself with a motorcycle, like a dirt bike. I was like, this happened. This happened.
We're talking about M. Night Shyamalan.
We're not doing this to Will, okay? Leave Will alone. Fuck, you've been through enough.
Bad Boys 4 is coming out. Anyway, but yeah, the thing was, at this point, people weren't hating on Will necessarily. He just hadn't had the golden age. Like you mentioned, iRobot and that kind of stuff. iRobot still made lots of money. So
yeah,
he was.
I thought it was fun. I like that.
But that was years ago. That wasn't recent.
04.
That's 04. Yeah.
So he wasn't riding high. And this movie too. If I don't know if you remember the trailers for this, you don't hear Jaden talking in the trailer. You hear it's all VO of Will Smith talking about things while Jaden's doing stuff. It's kind of like that kind of that's a pairing essentially. And I think that was because they knew Jaden's acting hadn't quite grown with him. He was fine in Pursuit of Happiness as a little kid, basically kind of just being almost in the background with his dad. And Karate Kid, it was more or less focused on the action and Jackie Chan. But in this, this movie only has two actors, really. Two. Him and his dad and Zoe Kravitz for a half second. And a lot of it's just Jaden Smith green screen with the giant birds and trees on Earth. It's like, what the hell? It was not a pleasant experience.
So you think most of the issue with this was you're going to put a lot of the blame for this movie being bad on Jaden Smith?
Somewhat, but I think also you got to utilize what you have. Will Smith still to this day is a very charismatic actor. This movie stripped him of all his charisma. He is sitting, with his gimped up leg like me in a crashed up plane the entire time, serious, almost angry and serious the entire time. Talking about taking a knee and stuff. It's like, why would we pay to see Will Smith do that? It didn't really work that well.
Yeah, it was just a misuse of your cast. Because why do this? This could have been several other things.
And I'll pull the recurring trend up again. This nigga does not know how to write relationships. I don't know how it was hard for you to write sentiments and moments between an actual father and an actual son in a movie where you make them feel like they are father and son. And to Ethan's point about Will being so hard the whole movie, again, I'm a bastard, so my biological father is not in my life. But I have a grandfather who was a hard ass, a literal drill sergeant. And even that nigga at times was very soft and funny with us and crack jokes. For you to be hard the entire time, I'm like, bro, that is not realistic. For this man to be like, you telling me him and his son don't have any kind of insight? Because at the end, you started to see they had a better bond start to form. But I'm like, damn, you just, to Ethan's point, you had this charismatic comedic actor in Will Smith who, whatever people want to say about him, he does what he does very well. He plays Will Smith very well. You had him do everything that wasn't Will Smith in this film, which he can do at times, but for an entire film, I'm like, damn, bro.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't. I mean, we all know Will Smith can act. I would still say Jaden. He's shown his abilities in other movies. And I think it really does come down to M. Night just not treating them properly and not right, like you said too. To your point, he does not know how to write human interaction. It's like, what is going on here?
Part of why Sixth Sense worked is because like the interactions between Bruce Willis and the boy were so awkward.
That's the
And then you found out, I was like, oh, it's supposed to be because he's talking to a dead person.
Exactly. Or the same thing in that same movie where Bruce Willis is trying to get closer to his wife, and she seems more and more distant. Oh, by the way, it's because he's not there. It works. That kind of distance works really well. Same with Toni Collette and the son. The son is awkward, so he's not talking to her. It all plays into what they're doing. The problem is when they actually are supposed to be close, it falls short. It falls horribly short. Even with Unbreakable, right, with Bruce Willis in that movie, the whole idea is he feels like a person that just has lost his way in life, essentially. So it works really well for him to be distant from people. And Mr. Glass in that movie is very odd and weird, so it works well for that thing too. But anytime you try to show the actual real connections, like the happenings, is the greatest one. John Leguizamo talking about like if the math problems with Mark Wahlberg, or that guy talking about hot dogs. It's like it just seems so over the top odd that it doesn't seem like this. It almost seems like the scripts are written by AI. If someone told me, oh, by the way, these several movies are actually written by AI, not actually M. Night, I'd be, oh, okay, all right, that's fair. Now I know what happened.
And I wanna get into. I will say, if we're gonna, I've shitted on him writing relationships a lot, which again,
period.
That's not inaccurate. But I think one film where he did an okay job was in Old. I don't know if you guys saw Old at all. This is when I saw him streaming. I didn't go to the theaters to see this. Of
course you did. Why would you?
And this was pretty solid as far as him writing children having relationships with their parents, which I'm surprised this is the one he did well, because this is even more difficult because for people that did not see this film, the whole concept essentially is that these people go to vacation on this island and they are stuck on this beach, and while they are on this beach, they age a year every hour. So over the course of the film, you have parents that are rapidly aging and getting old and dying, and you have the kids who are rapidly getting older and like growing up, essentially. And the relationship between the parents and the children were great. I thought that was pretty well done as time went on. I think some of the difficult stuff, which I'm not even gonna get on him too much for, because it's just difficult to do in regards to the actors feeling like the same actors, because you have a switch out. Obviously, like the kids are switched out with older actors at some point. And the only film I've seen that done really great in is something like It, where these children actors and these adult actors seem like mirror images of one another. This is a little bit more difficult. Again, I had to speak shit on this name because he had a character in this shit called Mid-Size Sedan. It was a rapper name.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate it. I thought that was. I heard that in theater. That took me out of it for like a good 5 minutes. I was like, why the fuck?
It
not know anybody black? Do you not know anybody black that could have made a better rapper name than that?
Have you ever heard a black person in casual conversation use the word sedan?
No, nigga.
You know, I work at a dealership, right? I sell sedans, and I forget to use that word most of the time. So yeah,
that took me out of it. But anyway, yeah, the film was pretty solid.
You're right though. You're right though. The interactions are fairly organic. Actually, in that movie, it's still weird though that every time someone talks to somebody else, they kind of sound like Storm in the X-Men cartoons, where she always talks. She doesn't use contractions, and she's always very formal. And they always use their full names. I'm Bill Smith. I'm Bill Smith, and this is my. It's like, okay, why would you? I don't need you to know your last name, Smith. So it's still. But you're right though. For the most part, the interactions seem more organic than they do in most of their movies. So yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah.
I think the only bad thing I'll say on it, which it's not a super shitty thing, because I think you have to be a really great screenwriter to pull this off. But in regards to, I feel like the kids when they aged up felt too much like adults. I understand they're aging in physical stature, where like they're aging a year every hour, but like as time went on, they felt like they were too logical. I'm like, these should still be like 7-year-olds. Why are they so logical?
They
should still be acting like
one of them has a kid and stuff too. Like he's pregnant. It's like you should be freaking out a lot more. Yeah.
But yeah, that is all in all. I think that was a solid film by him. And to my point, like I said at the beginning of the show, he has a good handful of films that I enjoy. Devil's probably one of my more favorite horror movies. It's not in my top 10 anywhere. Maybe like my top 30 somewhere.
Really? Top 30?
Personal wise, like I go back and enjoy that because it's not long. The presentation is pretty solid. The acting is pretty solid. People that aren't fans of horror, I can get them to watch that without them like wanting to cry out of fear because it's not super scary. Yeah,
it's not really scary. And also, the acting is more fun. It's more of a fun one. It's there's a fun bad watch at worst. So I'll give you that.
It's oddly somewhat similar. It's like Raimi-esque. It's not as campy at all as Raimi stuff, but like some of the shots are very much so Raimi, and I think that's what I enjoy about that film in particular. So it's a personal thing. I don't mind going back to watch every couple of years. I'll go back and watch it again.
So now, what's the one? I think both of y'all have seen it probably too. Is it called The Visit with the old folks? It's like the grandkids going to see their grandparents.
Yes, The Visit.
Okay, with The Visit,
that 2015. Damn. I thought that came out a lot more recent than what it did. I remember seeing the trailer for it.
Welcome to my world where time is just a mess. Time in and of itself is a question mark.
Jesus.
That movie, the way because I'm not sure how easy it is to get old folks to actually act weird and stuff on camera. That seemed like the acting was pretty good. Also, the idea of the way the grandkids were acting with those grandparents was like, they seemed legitimately freaked out. So I was like, hey, you actually got good acting here, and there really wasn't much of a plot to deal with or anything. So for the most part, it's like, okay, this is just a decent enough movie to watch. It's not great or anything, but it's not too terrible.
The premise was interesting. It started off well, but the execution was very mediocre, in my opinion.
That's kind of
it. I didn't really care.
That's his MO. It's like it's premise and concept, high concept, and the execution is just M. Night. It's just pure M. Night. I mean, you literally had The Last Airbender with a limited budget. They're like, here's all the money. Here's even more. Yeah, because it was Disney money too. It's like, whoa, what do you want, sir?
Oh, Nickelodeon money.
Nickelodeon.
Did they own Nickelodeon? Did they own that?
No, I don't know. I guess Disney was only involved with the one with the water, the lady in the water one, not this one. He turned it down. He turned down the money for that. Yeah, you're right. I think it was Nickelodeon money, but still, it's like he had all the money he wanted, and he actually had DiMartino and Konietzko involved, and they were initially, and it's like to screw the pooch that bad. Like there are ways to make mistakes. I get it. I got you. But to do it that bad, that epically, where you opening shot where you say, "Hello, I'm Ong," and I was like, "I'm out." Immediately the first time he says his name, I was like, "I can't." This movie.
So yeah, let's deep dive into this one. I've told a friend this before. Part of me is mad at this man for what he did to a childhood memory, but the other part of me isn't, because it felt like he did not care about this shit at all. He did this shit for the check. Because to Ethan's point, when the first thing out of this character's mouth is "my name is Ung," I know you did not watch a single minute of the actual series. You didn't watch any of this shit. You did not care about this film. You had somebody that you knew break it down and go through it. And the craziest shit is, to Ethan's point, it went through probably first and second round edits of the script. It went through the actual shooting of the film, which probably happened over the course of a couple months. And you telling me nobody there on this entire set watched the film and heard this nigga say "ung" and was like, "Hey, that's
no." Knowing him, they probably said it, and he was like, "No," but like clearly the actual pronunciation of this should be "ung."
It may be because he is. I think he's Indian, ethnically.
Yes, exactly. That's what happened, Otis. That's exactly what happened.
What it was?
Because we mentioned this for Charlie. You said his ego got in the way. Yes, and as Otis said, there were people like, "Yo." It was kind of like there were a lot of same thing as Lucas with episode 1 or what have you. Some yes men started getting around him, and it's kind of hard to argue with the guy who just made, because at this point he had just made Signs too. So even though anything Signs are that great, there was literally an article in Time magazine calling M. Night the next Spielberg after Signs, right?
God.
And he did this movie after that. So he of course had all the money in the world. He had all the rep he needed. He could do whatever he wanted.
Because Signs was 2002. This came out 8 years later. And he was living off that for that long?
No, because he did Signs and he did The Village. And then after
The Village was 04.
The Village came after Signs.
Yeah.
And I think he did, I'm not sure, it came where he did after, it may have been, was Lady in the Water after?
Lady in the Water was 06.
Yeah, so yeah, Lady in the Water, and then he did this. And he was still
The Happening came out in 08.
Yeah, because The Happening came out, I think, after this, I believe.
Yeah, I think The Devil came out the same year as well.
Yeah, because he was getting busier.
He had some okay ones up to this.
Because he did this. He did, I think, The Last Airbender after he turned down Disney's money for Lady in the Water. And he had this whole spiel with Lady in the Water. We get into that one next. But the thing about it is that his ego was still mega high. He just thought he was the biggest thing in the world. He hadn't been humbled at all yet, really. And so when he literally talking to him, you can watch interviews on YouTube right now where he did say, it's just as Otis just said, where he said, because I'm Indian, the name should be actually pronounced Ong, not Ang. And so I said, if it was written, if it was a comic book adaptation or something like that, where the audience that you're making this movie for hadn't heard the name countless times and fallen in love with the way it's being pronounced Ang, right. I would understand you, but it's not that simple. We all know people that are named Terrell or Terrell. They pronounce it differently, right? It depends on what you hear. This is the same thing. We heard it pronounced as Ang. You can't really just make up wild ass, rules midway.
Knowing that aspect, part of me isn't as mad because it's more of a cultural thing. That's like if you were a super Christian and you know that Jesus is pronounced Jesus and a like Jesuit or some shit like that, like a random pronunciation everybody knows.
Or Jesus.
I could understand you wanting to do something more accurate to your own culture, but on the same token, to your point, millions of people fell in love with it being pronounced one way. So you got to know that people are going to be pissed off. He probably was comfortable with that. More like, which I could, again, if that being that, I can understand that. Everything else though, my nigga, everything else in the film, yeah, you can't hide behind the cultural shield for that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Because also it is that
to do one pebble was crazy, bro.
That's break dancing and doing.
Any part of like, yo, I'm trolling the audience. I'm trolling my own audience now with this type of stuff. Like that pebble dance. That's a massive dance for one itty bitty rock to go half a meter.
They doing jutsus and shit.
Maybe he was. Maybe he was.
Imagine that shit. You watch Naruto and they're doing Kakashi's doing 1,000,000 hand signs. A little spark. Nigga, my God.
Maybe he was.
And it floats across the screen really slow.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough, man. You win there, bro. You got us all good.
Like, you could have just threw the rock. You could have just threw a bunch of rocks.
At that point, just straight up and throw it. Or if you're standing there watching them do it, just like walk over there to them and stop them. Just tap their feet or something. Stop them.
There's no way that got off the editing floor. You're not telling me somebody was editing this and said, like, yeah, that was cool.
Or what if to everybody's credit, what if he's like, hey man, make sure you put a whole bunch of amazing rocks bending and flying over there in post-production. And like, okay, M. Night, and that guy like felt mad at him or something, or he slept with his wife or whatever it was. And so he's like, man, screw this dude.
And
he said he took advantage of it, and he opened one day, like, yeah, screw you, M. Night. I'm gonna burn your movie down. If that's the story, it's like that's
like I paid to watch The Happening. I'm getting you back.
No, we have to do a movie. We have to do a movie. The three of us. It's a story of someone who's so mad at M. Night after paying to watch The Happening. They're like, I'm gonna get my revenge. I'm gonna get on his. I'll be in production on his next movie, and I'm gonna screw it up. And we actually do that scene there. That'd be the greatest movie ever. I had to watch that.
Jesus Christ. We're getting near the end of it. We've covered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
I mean,
covered 11, 12.
Should we end it with watching the trailer for the new one?
That's what I was about to do. I was about to mention that. We covered like 12. He has like a lot of other films. Some of them that are, a lot of these are like the making of stuff. And some of them are Indian films that he probably did like early in his career. Yeah. But as far as just like relevant major cinematic releases, we've covered like more than half of them. So I felt comfortable getting into the trailer for his newest upcoming film being Trap. And this is one that it's kind of interesting. It looks interesting to say the least. So I'll pull this up.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Lady Raven.
Hurry, come on.
Real quick side note, because I saw a video talking about it. He is on some LeBron type shit or Alonzo Ball type, because Lady Raven is one of his daughters. His other daughter is directing as well, and he has like her movie in this movie as like advertisements everywhere. So he's like definitely trying to get his family the bag.
Nepotism, yeah.
Nepotism is very apparent, which I'm not mad at. I'm always here for nepotism.
Yeah. I'm always here for it.
I'm always here for it, man.
No, I'm at a dip out, y'all. I got to dip, but enjoy it. I've seen it before. Long live Josh Hartnett. I'll hit y'all there.
Yeah, so we'll finish out. Me and others will finish out pretty strong.
Wait! I gotta tie my shoe.
No, Dad jokes. This is serious. Come on.
I'm sorry. Lady Raven!
This is slap, Dad. Thank you. This is literally the best day of my life.
So is that like supposed to be fake Billie Eilish?
That's what I thought initially, but I've seen, I think New Rockstar video I watched, they said there's a lot of comparisons to Taylor Swift stuff as well. Like a lot of this, the imagery and shit. So it's probably like a fusion of both of them, I think.
Cooper,
Jamie.
what's with all the police trucks outside? The cameras everywhere, Jamie.
I love these shots. Like the middle of the camera shots are like unsettling.
Something happening? Don't rat me out. I won't.
You know the butcher? The freaking nut job that goes around just chopping people up?
The use of ambient audio in the background is pretty dope too. Like
So they set up
the crowd almost makes it more.
I feel like I'm like in, I feel like I'm at a POV of like what he's hearing.
They're watching all the exits, checking everyone that leaves. There's no way to get out of here.
That's the Taylor Swift shit right there. Like from her tour or whatever else.
Use of color is also pretty noticeable in this too.
Dad.
I'm sorry, Riley, what was that?
Your daughter's never gonna forget this day.
You're kind of dope, right?
If I saw that reaction,
Oh yeah, he did it. I'd be like, officer, him, he did it. It's that nigga right there. He did it. The film again, it was a really well-made trailer. We've talked about trailers in the past as far as it didn't tell me. It told me enough what I need to know about the plot, but I don't know everything that's going to happen in the movie. And then as well, it showcased some of the better acting that's going to happen in it. I know that I can't remember, I think it's James Harden. I can't remember his name, but I know he was in Oppenheimer. He was one of the better actors in Oppenheimer. Which, if I remember right, is where Shyamalan like initially saw him and it got put on his radar. But I don't know. Did you watch Oppenheimer?
I still haven't seen it. I'll plan on it.
It's really good. You got to take time though. That's a long ass movie, but it's a really good movie though. It's worth the watch.
I'm not really going to tell part of the story though. That's neither here or there.
You'd be surprised. But yeah, I have high hopes for it. Again, it's horror. I know that's usually where Shyamalan peaks as far as the type of genre that he directs and writes well for. And then great actors again. So it has the formula for it to be solid. We gonna see. I'm scared because the shots in this trailer look good. The acting looks solid. The sound design, some of the editing looked very amazing. So we're gonna see what it turns out to be.
So I think the trailer definitely was enticing. It does, like, if you give us the twist in the beginning, knowing how Shyamalan does, he's gonna try to somehow to one up that twist within it and try to make it something extra. And I'm just like, don't, because like I just see him trying to do something in there that's gonna try to subvert expectations, and I'm just like, bro, just like you got two options: let him get away or he get caught. Like,
right.
But he gonna try to find some third option that nobody wanted to see. And I just hope he doesn't, but I'm gonna watch him at least try to do it.
I know in the new Rockstars video I saw they talked about him possibly connecting the Sixth Sense to this movie, where the child being a grown up is in this universe because he can see ghosts or whatever else, and that being how he gets caught. Because in my head, when I first saw the beginning of the trailer, I was like, how the fuck does anyone know where he's going if he's murdering all the people that he's talking with in the basement?
Mm-hmm.
So they said that could be a part of it because they had Buddy. He was in The Boys. I can't remember his name. The kid actor from the Sixth Sense. He played the telepathic dude, the TV guy. That was who he was playing. So he may make an appearance. Which we know he likes to connect his universes, and I don't think that'd be a bad way to go about it. Now how he incorporates it is really scary, but if he does go down that road, I think it could be well done. It has the chance. It can be well done. Will it? It's a 50-50. This is what I'm definitely going to see in theaters because I just need some more horror shit to go see in theaters because I think I've seen every movie in theaters right now except for Ghostbusters and the Civil War movie, which I may go see those at some point.
To both movies, I have no urge to see whatsoever.
The trailer for the Civil War one looked somewhat enticing, but I'm gonna have other shit I can be doing.
If it was on Netflix, I might watch it. Maybe.
Right. I seen Kirsten Dunst and I was like, so we shall see. But yeah, guys, this has been our retrospective on M. Night Shyamalan and his filmography. I had to correct myself. Again, like I said at the start of the show, I don't think he's a horrible director, screenwriter per se. I think he has a lot of the same stuff. Like Yo Human Beings, everybody has our mistakes and our flaws. I just feel like he hasn't made any improvements, or at least a lot of major improvements on what he's had issues with throughout his long, 20-something year long career at this point. Because the first one's in 99, and it's like over 20 years at this point.
It's 25, yeah.
Because he's 53 too, so I'm like, bro, you in the game for a minute now, so I think at this point he probably stuck in his ways. So whatever we get is what we get. Whichever. What are your any closing sentiments on M. Night Shyamalan as a director, film screenwriter?
Why y'all keep giving this man money? Like, it takes a lot of money to make a movie at the level that he films them at, and like he continues to like either just meet or just fall below expectations. Like, I can't think of
even in the ones where it was just like two people, like with Will and Jaden, they still spent buku amounts of money on that CGI. So like you're still spending money regardless.
Yeah, it was like that's a lot of money that you have to spend on somebody that you seem not hit for a while. But I mean,
Good, Mike.
Him
and Michael Bay. Those are the two where I'm like, how? Michael Bay even more egregiously, just because.
Wait, at least with Michael Bay, his movies are making money. Like, there is a return on those, right? Like he's usually a couple $100 million every time he does a movie.
How? I don't know.
Well,
I know how.
If Fast and Furious can crack a Billy, anything is possible.
Yeah, he's making action movies. I think that's a little bit, yeah. Sweaty women, racism, misogyny, because we at this point watching all those Transformers movies, you're not gonna tell all this man had a yellow Asian Transformer. Why the fuck is the Transformer speaking an Asian accent for one? Like a really thick stereotype. I'm not gonna get into it. We're not gonna get into it. We could do one on Michael Bay next. If we do one of these again, we can go into Michael Bay because I think that'll just be hilarious, and I have no problems just ripping that shit to shreds because fuck Michael Bay at this point.
But we gotta do a good one too, and somewhere it's there, like like those Scorsese or it's some good directors out there.
There's plenty of them. The low hanging fruit is Jordan Peele, but like you said, I like to do like a Scorsese or
Jordan is hot right now, so I wouldn't say necessarily To a degree. Jordan Peele's name is still pretty hot. If he puts out a project, people are going to be pay attention to it. I mean, that's the only reason why we watch Monkey Man, because I don't know if I would watch it otherwise.
I don't be mad at Nia DaCosta hasn't done. She's only done like 3 at this point with Candyman, The Marvels, and I think like some TV show stuff. But we'll figure it out. Anyway, if you guys have anybody in particular you guys would like us to cover, let us know in the comments below, and we can get to them. You can find the Then and Out podcast on any and every audio platform that is possible: Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Music, all that good stuff. Our main platform is YouTube, and we are also on every social media platform. Just about, I think the only one we're not on is Twitter, but Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. Is that still? Yeah, Threads is still a thing, right?
Yeah, it's still a thing. It's still growing, actually. It's not doing bad.
We're on Threads. So yeah, find us wherever you want to find us at. Our email also is on this page as well. So if you guys have any requests, any sentiments, comments, even if you guys just want to hate on us, let us know in the comments so we can see that. I'll laugh at it later. So yeah, we'll see you guys next time. This has been Captain Diesel, Loose V, and also King of the Comics, even though he just took off. And well, fuck my life then. This has been our podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
I still can't believe Kirsten Dunst was really upset that she didn't get as much money as Spider-Man in Spider-Man.